and the Chinese President Xi Jinping is likely to skip the G20 Summit in India next week. Quoting sources, the news agency Reuters has stated that Premier Li Qiang is expected to represent Beijing at the summit instead. The news comes amid months of military standoff between the two sides at the line of actual control and several rounds of co-commander meet that culminated in a brief meeting between Modi and Xi at the sidelines of the BRICS summit. Although both sides talked about de-escalation and disengagement, they had different versions on the meeting. However, ties between the countries remain stagnant and tense. China doesn't have an envoy in India for the last 10 months. On Monday, China officially released the 2023 edition of its so-called standard map. The map incorporates, as we said, claims over Arunachal Pradesh and Aksai Chin, as well as Taiwan and disputed South China Sea. So these latest reasons are also escalating the row between the two countries. With China's growing belligerence, the border has become a battleground for testing wills and resilience. Analysts say China's completely unfounded claims initially extended only to Taiwan, a part of Arunachal Pradesh where the 6th Dalai Lama was said to have been born. Since the 2000s, however, China has been claiming Arunachal Pradesh in its entirety. Pertinent to remember, independent India has been exercising sovereignty over it. Arunachal Pradesh became a union territory in 1972 and a state in 1987. Arunachal Pradesh is also located at the confluence of the international borders of China, Myanmar and Bhutan, giving it strategic importance. This extension of territorial claims indicates a concerted strategy consistent with China's stance on the East and South China Sea disputes. The Chinese map also includes the Aksai Chin region. Chinese aggression has sparked clashes along mostly rugged mountainous border areas known as the line of actual control. Amid Xi Jinping's irrational territorial ambitions, both sides have increasingly militarized their border. Policies have shown no indication of backing down on either side. The situation on the border remains tense due to China's violation of norms. Beijing and New Delhi are hardening their position on either side of the line of actual control. India is firm. Peace and tranquility in border areas is essential. New Delhi says it is fully prepared and committed to protect its sovereignty and dignity. The G20 is, of course, a premier forum for international economic cooperation and plays an important role in shaping and strengthening the global architecture and governance. The G20 members represent around 85% of the global GDP and 75% of the global trade and about 2/3 of the world's population. A significant forum which now we believe President Xi is likely to skip.
Then we go off and then the screen.
And while tensions between the US and China could escalate once again, this after the US President Joe Biden's administration has approved the first ever military aid transfer to Taiwan under the Foreign Ministry Financing or FMF program. This program is normally used for sovereign states. The State Department informed Congress that $80 million is being set aside for Taiwan. The State Department notification said the package is to strengthen Taiwan's self-defense capabilities, especially at sea. US officials maintain that this does not represent a change in policy. They said the FMF program simply enables eligible partner nations to purchase US defense articles. The language used implies Taiwan is or could be compared to a nation. However, this is sure to infuriate China. Beijing has vociferously protested any kind of US arms sales to Taiwan. China also blocks Taiwan's full membership to any UN or other international organization unless it is identified as a part of China. China has issued a statement saying that US military aid to Taiwan will harm the island's security.
充分地掌握了我们空域的防卫。
无论是美援台武器也好，售台武器也罢，我们一贯地给予坚决反对。对台军援军售，养肥的只是美军工复合体。
And well, to talk a little bit more about this, we're now being joined by Andrew Wood from Hong Kong for the very latest on this escalation. And well, Andrew, clearly this military aid that has been transferred or will be transferred to Taiwan is mostly for sovereign nations. So this is a clear shift in American policy and is likely to enrage China further.
Well, of course, yes, it is usually used for sovereign nations, but then who else do you give arms to other usually than sovereign nations, unless they're rebel groups or something like that? So America is saying, well, you know, we're just treating Taiwan. We're not making a statement here. We're just supplying this aid as we would with any of our allies. Remember, although Washington has signed up to Beijing's one China policy, the idea that there is only one China in the world and that its capital is in Beijing, and Beijing considers Taiwan to be a renegade province that will be united with the mainland of China at some point in the future. But after America started to recognize Beijing in preference to Taiwan as being the proper state of China, it passed the Taiwan Defense Act in 1979, which means that America must must help the authorities of the island of Taiwan. It's very vaguely written there, not to say government or anything like that. It must help them to be able to defend themselves. And America also says that the issue of whether Taiwan should be unified with the mainland of China is an issue for the people of Taiwan to sort out, and also that it shouldn't be done by force. So America thinks it's being consistent here, that it's always tried to help Taiwan defend itself and make sure that there's not likely to be a resolution of this issue by force, by trying to deter the mainland of China, Beijing, from invading the island.
Right, Andrew. Thanks very much for all that analysis on this latest development of US military aid to Taiwan. Appreciate you joining us.